Hello, my name is Meiju. Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to watch my knitting podcast. If you are new to my channel, I have been designing knitwear over 10 years now. I live in Helsinki, Finland, and as I told you in the last episode, I have signed a book deal with Line magazine, and I'm starting to make, actually I have already started to make a book for them, and I will tell you more about the publication date later, but there isn't yet any set date for the publication, although I have a set date for all the designs and material for the book, and that will be in the end of August this year. Thank you for all the congratulations that you gave by commenting my last podcast episode, and thank you if you congratulated me on Instagram. I received so many messages and lovely feedback on Instagram that I was overwhelmed by those in a positive way, and thank you so much of those comments. And for me this have been a dream come true, the book deal. I mean that I really wanted to make the book deal with Line magazine, since it has to be somehow reasonable for me in economical way, in a sense that since I have been self-employed since January, I need to have some solid income in a way from my pattern sales, and the book deal with Line is really an opportunity for me, in a sense that Line has international how do you call the international delivery, and if you have been to a really good knitting yarn store, you know Line books and Line magazine, so that's why I was really thrilled about this book deal. Finland, even though we are really a country where everybody can knit, because they taught us to knit at school. We all learn to knit somehow in, is it elementary school? Anyway, by the end of 10, everybody knows how to knit. They even teach boys these days to knit. At least I think that my son has been taught to knit, and they actually did loom knitting in schools. But anyway, we have a really knitting oriented country, in a way that almost all of, at least women know how to knit, and these days also boys and men are into knitting more and more these days. But since we are a really small country, we have only 5 million people living here, and we have really large yarn company Novita. They are selling kind of market yarns, and they are providing knitting patterns that are free for everybody. It's really difficult to get such an income from pattern sales only in the Finnish market. So that's why I also, since I want to live with knitting and knitting designing, I have to publish in English, and that's why also my book, I have published all my patterns in English and in Finnish from the very start, but also I will publish the book in English and in Finnish, and it is possible because of the Line magazine deal to publish in English, in both languages, also in English. And I'm hoping that it will come also out in German, but I don't know about that yet. So that's why I'm really excited about the book deal, and happy that you are so happy for me about the book deal. Since I started this year, when I started to make these episodes after I have quit my day job, I decided that although I wanted to make kind of vlog kind of podcast episodes in which I will tell you what I have been doing during the week, and that's still my goal, because I can't show you that much my knitting, because I don't want to show you that much what I'm doing for the book, since you have to wait until the publication of the book. But I still feel that I'm also trying to tell you something else about the knitting designing, and I'm going to talk about in this episode more about the financial stuff of knitting designing, and I will come to that later. But first, I'm wearing my Halaus Pullover, which I will publish today, I think, since you are probably watching this on Friday, or I will publish this video on Friday 19th. Now it's Thursday 18th of February, but I still have to edit this, and I'm ready to publish this on Friday 19th. So I will publish the pullover that I'm wearing now on Friday 19th of February, and this is called Halaus. Halaus means a hug in Finnish. The name came from the large collar that I have here. I can't lift it now because I have the microphone there, but and from the mohair, woolen mohair feeling that this sweater gave. The yarn that I used here, just a minute, I will grab a skein from here. I used onion knit mohair and wool, and this is something that I haven't knit before, and while I was knitting this sweater, there is something in the mohair that makes my nose not bleed, but I feel that I have something in my nose and in my throat when I'm knitting this wool. So I purchased this from my local yarn store. This is onion knit mohair and wool. It's 50% mohair and 50% wool. It's really lovely non-itching mohair and easy to knit mohair, because some mohair wool can be really difficult to knit, but this was easy to knit and easy to unravel. I didn't have to unravel a lot this project, but anyway, it was really lovely to knit. But still, now that I'm wearing the pullover, I feel that there is still something in my nose and in my throat, so I'm probably a bit allergic to this mohair wool, which is a shame, because it's a lovely sweater and lovely lovely design. I at least I love it myself, and I wanted to make large big cables on it, but and a large collar, and now I feel that I can't put the collar on my nose, because then my nose, I really feel that I have something on my throat and on my nose with this yarn. But this is the second time that I'm wearing this sweater, and I want to keep it a few days until I have to give it to someone else. I probably have to gift it or maybe sell it or something else. I don't know. I seem to have a problem with my samples, since on the background you can see my clothing closets. Those are the closets where I keep all my clothes, and I have so many samples. I don't actually have another place for my samples. They are stuck in my closet, and now I have so many samples that they are starting to or the closet is starting to get so full that my samples don't fit there. So I have thought about it, what to do with the samples, and if you have any ideas, please write in the comments, because I have I have thought about it, about selling them, for example on Etsy, or I can put a physical products on my Payhip store nowadays, I think, but still I feel really kind of, how it should be called, I have emotional bond with my samples, so I wouldn't want to sell them, but still I'm making new samples all the time, so I can't have them all. So I probably still need to sell something. I could give them to charity, at least some of them, but there is still a problem, because I want my samples to be valued in a way, and I don't know. I really don't know what to do with all the samples, or where to put them. Some of my friends, when I started knitting more and started to design knitwear, were telling that you have to knit one of those to myself too, and etc. So I could give something to my friends and or sell some knits to my friends, but we'll see. If you have any ideas, please write in the comments if you have any suggestions what I should do with all my samples. Yeah, about this week's activities, I will tell you about those first, and then I will try to tell you about the financial stuff of the knitting designing. That is kind of something that I want to discuss first before I will make the designing process video that I'm about to make too. So I want to kind of first talk about the financial stuff before going into the designing process. But first, about the activities that I have done with the book and in my designing life. Now I'm knitting one design for the book, and as you can see, I have to drop my gaze down at some points. I have a pattern here that needs some attention. I have increases going here, and I also have I have to count my stitches. Yes, one more increase. This is my first design that I'm doing for the book, and this is something that I started to design this already in the end of last week. I have received 3 yarns for the collaboration yarns for the book already. And just a minute, I have to check what I'm doing. And this first design, when I think it was the last episode where I showed you, or I told you that I already had the first swatch ready, but I didn't want to show you yet, because I don't want to show you anything about the book yet. I already told you that I have the swatch, and I already cast on the design that I had in mind, and my designing process includes that I first write the pattern that I'm going to knit. I'm writing the pattern, I'm creating it. I'm thinking if I make, for example, textures or something like that I have to think all the sizes through and think how they will fit for the design that I'm thinking. And for example, if I make cables, I have to think that all the cables that I want to put in the design are fitting into the sizes that I'm thinking about. So I already write the pattern and cast on, but then after I have knit a little while, I decided that I will unravel it, because I didn't like what I was doing, and I didn't like how the yarn kind of behaved with the idea that I had. So I had to change my idea because of the yarn. And now I'm already redesigned the design, and everything is going smoothly and so on. So I'm really happy how this is turning out. But since I have to kind of restart what I was doing, that took at least 2 or 3 days, and I kind of paused that process for the weekend, and during the weekend I was finishing this dress. So this has been already blocked, and I launched the test knitting today morning. So this is finished. It's so large that I can't put it on the picture. There is this biased color that it's the thing in this dress. So I knit that dress almost all the weekend, and I really like how the dress turned out to be, and I launched the test knitting today morning, and that was something that I was knitting during the weekend. During the weekend I want to keep my schedule in a way that I can be more with my family. I don't want to do my computer stuff and work over the weekends. So I really want to only knit, because that's relaxing, and that's something that I can do while discussing with my family, and while doing other things like watching TV or something like that. So I even sometimes knit when I'm cooking food while between some stages in making the food. But anyway, so during the weekend I was thinking about my this design that I'm knitting now I was while knitting that red dress, I was thinking about this design that I had to restart, and I came to a conclusion of one stitch pattern that I have already swatched that stitch pattern, but I decided that how I want to place it for the design. So I kind of redesigned it, and since I have already written the pattern, which was kind of unnecessary work that I had done in vain, I had to rewrite the pattern, and I had to remake it to make it better, and to make it align with my final decision with the design. And now that I'm knitting it, I'm happy that I did it, because this is turning just the way it should be. This time the yarn had really big effect on what I wanted to do with the design, and sometimes now that I'm knitting for the book, all of my yarns are new to me. At least these yarns that I've received now, I haven't knit before, so I probably will do the same process again, that I start something and then I have to redesign it again. I have some preliminary sketches on the designs, or preliminary ideas on the designs that I'm going to make, but I'm probably going to change them a bit during the process because of the yarn, or because of some ideas that I want to remake, or something like that. That's my process. I will design something, then I will change it. Yeah, so that's what I have been doing over the weekend, and almost all of my Monday went to restarting this design that I'm knitting now, which will be the first finished design for the book. Well, I don't know, since I have also started another design for the book, and I wanted I'm not a procrastinator. How do you say procrastinator? Because in my work life in general, before I started to design knitwear this much that I do now, and before making the book, I want that my jobs and the things that I do are kind of already done before I start them. So I mean that I want to, at least with the book now, I want to be pre-scheduled really good, because I have the tight schedule with the book, and I have to provide pretty many patterns for the book, so I want them to be started, and I want to start more designs and projects for the book, because I want to have something that I knit while watching TV all the time, and I also have to have something that needs some concentration, that I can knit when I'm all alone and I don't have to talk with my family, or I don't have to I can concentrate to something more thoroughly. So now that I'm looking at this, I should concentrate more because I think I have made a mistake here. I have to look how many stitches. 2. Yeah, so I wanted to start those designs just so that I had enough knitting to do when I have time to knit. So that's something that took almost at least 2 or 3 days for me, the swatching and the redesigning and the rewriting of the pattern and restarting, and now this is at the point where I can almost knit this as I'm speaking to you, but as you can see I have to watch this a little bit because the pattern is such that I have to watch it a bit regularly. Then again, what I have been doing this week, I finished that red dress, and that means that I also had to finish the pattern writing since I put it to the test knitting. So that means that I went through the pattern and while I was knitting the pattern, as I said, I usually write the pattern first and then I print the pattern out and I knit it with the pattern so I can see what are my mistakes and how should I want the experience to be the same when someone were knitting with my pattern. So I will take notes on the paper that I have print, and then I kind of finish those notes on the file that I have for the pattern. And this time I didn't have the chance to take photos before I put the pattern on test knitting, so I just took quick shots, or my son took quick shots, indoor shots, and we will take photo shoot about the dress later. But then again, that took a few hours for me to finish the pattern and launch the test knitting. That will take some more hours to launch the test knitting. Then I have been also writing emails. That took almost all day for me yesterday, and those emails are the yarn collaborations for the book, and I haven't actually write all emails yet, but at least the most of them, and that's something that I have been doing. I have been making a kind of a list of all the yarns that I want to use and in which designs I want to use those yarns, and that's something that I have been doing yesterday, and it's still unfinished work because I haven't received all responses yet, and I haven't received all yarns yet, and I haven't written all emails yet, so that's something that will take some time too. But I'm getting there, and I'm really happy that so many that I have already got response are happy to join the project with me, so really happy about that. Yeah, then about the subject matter that I was beginning with, about the financial stuff of knitting designing, because this is something that I use most of my time now, since I have that backup plan for other jobs too, but now that I'm working on the book, I feel that I have to give 100% for the book, and that's why I don't really I don't want to really concentrate to that other stuff that I have already, or that I'm going to do at some point in my life too. But since I'm living in a small country where people knit a lot, but they don't buy that much patterns that people do in other countries or in English-speaking countries, where are a lot of more people to buy my patterns. So I feel that now that I'm working on the book, I still need to have some income from my Ravelry sales, for example, and that's why I have made a few designs, and I have a sample knitter for them, so I can put them out for sale on Ravelry, and also a few weeks ago I decided to raise the pattern price of the pattern prices on my Ravelry store a bit. I didn't raise all the patterns, I only raised the prices of the the most complicated patterns and the new ones. Since the thing that I have been thinking about lately, and it's something that has had to do with my decision. Well, it had to do with the decisions. Why did the decision of starting a career as a knitwear full-time knitwear designer was really difficult for me, and that's something to do with the respect that we get from the knitwear designing, and it's something that I have been thinking a lot lately, because in Finland at least there are plenty of available free patterns, and we can go to library, we can browse knitting magazines, Finnish knitting magazines, we can lend a book, knitting books, and take a pattern from there and kind of knit. You don't have to buy patterns to make your own knitwear, in a sense. So that's why I need to go on the international market, and that's what I have been doing from the very first from the beginning, when I started to make knitting patterns, and that I started to design and make patterns in English too, because I wanted to have more sales from, or that I knew that I couldn't live with knitting pattern sales in Finland. But then again, I know that at least these days some people don't have money to buy knitting patterns, and it's really difficult to buy, for example, $8 or €8 from a knitting pattern, but I still felt that I want to have the respect of my well-written patterns, and that's the feedback that I get that my patterns are really well written by raising my pattern prices, and the amount that I put in writing a pattern is really long time of work, and the knitting, I knit all my samples myself. That takes time. I'm paying to my tech editor, I'm paying to my photographer. Those things will I have expenses on doing my knitwear stuff, and I have I just had to buy a new computer because my old computer just went dead, and I have a house mortgage. I have 3 boys. I have to live. I have to pay my expenses. So if one tries to live with knitwear designing, I think that I'm allowed to have the right amount of compensation on that, on my work, and it's something that I have been thinking about a lot lately, and it's probably has to do with the concept of women's work. And knitting has been traditionally women's work, and it's something that hasn't been valued or respected that much, I think. And many people that I have been talking about don't really realize that this is a real job of being a knitwear designer. And in addition of knitting, this needs a lot of writing in an understandable way. I want my patterns to be well written. I want that people understand what they are knitting and how they should knit the pattern in a good way. And that's and in addition of writing knitting patterns, I run a company, one person company. I'm doing all my bookkeeping myself because I want to keep my expenses low, and that's something that I can do quite easily, although it takes its time off from my knitting designing. And I would like that the knitting designing business would be more respected, and I think that in a large sense it is. At least nowadays it's growing, and people want to pay from well-written patterns, and that's a good thing. But there are still people who don't want to pay, or who want to they don't want to pay that much, and that's also understandable because people have different situation in their life. But still, I feel that I haven't received comments that my patterns pay too much. I have received comments that they don't pay too much, that they pay the price is too little. But still, I have seen some comments on patterns or on knitwear designing industry that patterns pay too much, and in my opinion, they don't pay too much, because I think that people don't understand how much work is behind the patterns, and behind how much work have to be done if the pattern is well written, tech edited, well photoshooted in a way that knitters can see the details and what they should do with the knitting and with the patterns. So for me, the patterns don't pay too much, but I will try to explain later. Since I have been talking now a really long time already, I will try to explain later that how much work are being done for one pattern, how many hours, how many pages to be written and what's the process behind that, and that's something that I've been dreaming of making, and I will make it. But and I was thinking that I it's something that make the work visible in a sense. Okay, thank you for watching, and have a nice weekend, and bye. See you next time.